Hello, I'm Zeke. Welcome to the Zekely podcast. Let's talk Pennsylvania. The guest I have today was a lawyer, served in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, and is now a judge in Western Pennsylvania in the Washington County Court of Common Pleas. But now he is running for Pennsylvania Superior Court. Thank you so much for being here, Judge Brandon Neuman.
I'm Zeke, a doctor, a Pennsylvanian, and an unapologetic supporter of democratic values. You might have seen me on social media working my ass off for Democrats and meeting some pretty amazing people along the way, like President Barack Obama and Governor Josh Shapiro. For years, I've knocked thousands of doors all over Pennsylvania and poured my heart and soul into supporting candidates and causes that make a difference, from local school board races to national elections. The personal is political, and I take every election in Pennsylvania personally. Where the mainstream media has failed you, I will give you truth and independence. You'll hear from Democratic leaders, candidates, and changemakers who are working to improve the health of the Commonwealth, and it won't be boring as hell. No matter where you are, I'll meet you with hope and a plan to make your community better one day at a time. Welcome to the Zekely podcast. Let's talk Pennsylvania.
Thanks for having me, Zeke. I look forward to having a great discussion.
It's so good to have you on. You're the first judge that I've ever had on a podcast. Is this the first time you're on a podcast?
I certainly feel honored. And yes, this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast, so I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. We're going to have a great time, so we'll get right into it, okay? We're going to start off by playing a game, and I call it Name That Judge, where I'm going to play some intro jingles.
Okay.
I'm not going to show you what it is, and you're going to try and name the show, because I'm sure as a judge, you probably know all of these different judge shows, right?
No, actually, I don't. I have 4 kids, so 9, 6, 4, and 2. So unless
Okay.
it is Paw Patrol, Sonic, or one of those things like that, I probably don't watch much of it, but I will try.
Okay, well, you're going to try. I mean, as a physician, I have to say I don't watch a lot of doctor shows. So we'll have some fun with this, okay? So here is the first one. Who is the judge on this show? Ready?
I made the law work for me.
The young man who got a second chance and was elected judge. And now, the show that brings real life to the courtroom.
All right, so who is that?
I have no idea.
No idea? All right,
No.
well, that is Judge Mathis.
Judge Mathis.
Judge Mathis. So that's the first one. All right, we'll try. So I have 3 of these, okay?
Okay,
So
good, because I don't know if I'm going to get any of them. So
I'm
if
not
it goes
gonna
beyond
torture you.
3, it's going to be
Okay.
torture.
All right, so here's the second one. This is a pretty popular one, okay?
Okay.
The people are real. The cases are real. The rulings are final. This is Judge.
You know that one?
The only one I really know is Judge Judy. All the
That's
other
it.
ones.
You got it. That's
Judge
Judge
Judy.
Judy. You
All
got
right.
it. Okay, so you got one of them, so that's excellent. All right, here's the last one. This one's been around for a long time, this show, so you just might know this because. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Does that ring a bell at all?
The People's Court?
The People's Court.
Yeah,
Yes,
look at that.
you got 2 out of 3. That's really good.
Not bad.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good marketing by them because I shouldn't know who they are.
It's hilarious. Yeah, it's Judge. There's been a lot of judges on that show, but I think Judge Millian is the judge currently on the People's Court.
Okay.
So there you go. Well, thanks for playing Name That Judge with me. So tell me about your current position. You've had 8 years as a judge in the County Court of Common Pleas. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, so I'm in my 8th year and it's been great. I mean, I truly love what I do. And the nice thing, I have great colleagues. I've been able to move through dockets as well. So we're assigned in individual dockets. So originally I was assigned a family law docket that include divorce, custody, those types of cases. And then I was assigned a criminal docket. That's traditional criminal cases that you would think of. And then I was assigned civil cases. So that would involve like medical malpractice cases to all the way to landlord tenant cases and everything in between. I'm also the Veterans Court judge as well, which I really enjoy that work. And with the Veterans Court, you get to have a real kind of intimate relationship and have an intimate setting with veterans and try to make sure that they are rehabilitated to the point where we're never going to see them again. And so that's been very rewarding. And my colleagues have been great to trust me with these dockets. And I enjoyed every single one of the dockets so far.
I didn't realize that there was a specific part of the court that was just for veterans. Can you tell me more about that? That's interesting.
Certainly. So we have treatment courts. And so we have mental health courts, we have drug and alcohol, DUI courts, and then we also have veterans court. And veterans court is specific, obviously, to veterans. They have to have a certain level of offense that they committed. And then they are diverted to the veterans court where you're not going to be incarcerated, but you're going to have intense supervision and making sure that you get all your evaluations, make sure it's your mental health, drug and alcohol, housing, all the way down to family issues. We take a very individual and holistic view at this person. They served our country, and they deserve a lot more attention. And so when you look at the Veterans Court, and it's very, very successful, they have benefits that they are entitled to because of their service that they had no idea. So we have a VA coordinator. She really puts everything together for these veterans. We make sure that they're on the right medications. And then they're usually in my court for 18 months to 2 years. And they go through a rigorous program. And by the time they leave the court, they're really mentors for other veterans.
So you're kind of like a social worker in a lot of ways.
I oversee a lot of things. My team does just a phenomenal job at making sure that our veterans are taken care of when they're in this program. So there's a whole team that includes a defense attorney, includes a prosecutor, includes a probation officer, VA coordinator, and myself. And sometimes we have other people part of the team, and we really try to find an individual solution so that this person can really thrive no matter what their issue may be.
That's great. I never knew that before, and I'm glad that you participate in that because our veterans deserve so much. They sacrifice so much for our country, and I'm glad that there's a whole court dedicated to them. Thank you so much for that.
It's very rewarding, and it's one of the things that I really enjoy doing.
You grew up in Washington County, correct?
I did, yes.
All right. Washington County, Pennsylvania, which is on the western portion of Pennsylvania,
Yes.
right outside of Pittsburgh. And I want to see how well you know your county. So we're going to do some trivia, okay?
All right.
All right. So Washington County is home to which historic event? One of the first major challenges to the U.S. federal government.
Whiskey Rebellion.
You got it. I was going to make it a multiple choice.
Wow. Now we have the Whiskey Rebellion Festival, and it's a really fun time. And just so everybody knows, we're 20 miles south of Pittsburgh. So it's a great event. A lot of bands, a lot of whiskey, a lot of food, and it's just a nice event for Washington.
That is so cool. So I've made it a goal of mine to read the biographies of every president from the beginning. And so when I read about Washington, they talked about the Whiskey Rebellion and, how he rode out there and everything. I didn't realize that there was a commemoration festival every year in Washington County. That's really cool.
Yes, it is a very, very nice event. Anybody that wants to just have fun and learn about Washington, the city of Washington, Washington County, it's a good place to be.
That's great. Well, you got the first one right, and I learned something there. So the Meadowcroft Rock Shelter is an important archaeological site in Washington County and is famous for what?
First settlement in west of the Alleghenies, maybe?
Yeah, it's the evidence of some of the earliest human habitation in North America. I guess there's evidence going back 19,000 years.
Yes.
So that's really cool. And again, you didn't even do the multiple choice. That's great. Okay, here's the last question.
All right.
Washington County is considered the birthplace of which professional sports first organized game?
Cool.
So basketball, baseball, football, or ice hockey?
I'm going to go with basketball.
It's football. First professional sport.
I should have guessed football. That's my sport. I don't even really watch basketball, but I didn't think it was football, so I just went with one of the other ones.
It's okay. If you watch, listen to the podcast, I am the least sporty person ever. I really rely heavily on other knowledge from people. So I'm glad that you didn't know that one either. Just for my own ego. That's great. All right. So let's talk about the courts a little bit now. Okay. So what is the Superior Court? And why are you running for this position?
Yeah, so right now, currently, I'm a trial judge. And so I'm in my 8th year as a trial judge. Most of the appeals that come from my court go to the Superior Court. And so I've had a docket that would include, family law, custody cases, divorce cases, any type of criminal case that would go to the Superior Court. So it is where the bulk of appeals go. And every single person in Pennsylvania has a right to appeal to the Superior Court and have the court review it.
What gave you the desire to run for that position?
The interest of the topics. It's what I did in private practice when I was in the House of Representatives, the laws that I wrote, and I'll be the only judge with the experience of actually writing laws and now interpreting those types of laws, those types of topics, from the ones that are very, very important to families to the ones that are very, very in-depth in legal argument. Those are the cases that I like. Make sure that across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, they are fair and that they are even, no matter which county you come from.
And so you will be one of the only judges on the Superior Court who had also served in the state legislature?
Yes. Currently, I don't believe there's any other Superior Court judges that served in the legislature, no.
Well, what can people do to support your campaign?
So we have a lot of things going on right now. We have a lot of momentum. Fortunately, I'm unopposed in the primary, so our real focus is November. And so you could always go to our website, judgeneuman.com, sign up, get our email alerts, follow us on social media, mostly Facebook right now, but we're developing a more robust social media. And so we are at the stage where we need grassroots people to come to us, and then we can obviously give them very, very efficient and tasks that can really help us win in November.
So yeah, you're going to be on the primary, but running uncontested,
That's
and then
right.
you'll be on the general election in November. And so, yeah,
And
I'll
be
definitely
your first name on your ballot in November. So it's not hard to find me. I will be the very first one.
Judge Brandon Neuman, and I'll make sure to put your website up as a link so people can go to it.
That would be great.
Yeah, no problem. Let's play another game. It's called Am I Lying? Now, you're a judge. Okay,
Yeah.
so you this is your wheelhouse now. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a couple things about me, and you're going to guess whether or not I'm lying. Okay. Am I telling the truth or am I lying? All right. So here's the first one. I've gone skydiving every day on my birthday since I was 21.
Lying.
That is correct. I am lying. I've never gone skydiving, and I don't think I'm not much of a thrill seeker. I mean, I will go on roller coasters with my kids because my wife will not do that, but skydiving is not on my bucket list. So you got the first one correct. Okay.
All right.
Here's the second one. I have moved 7 times since I graduated college.
Not lying. Truth.
That is a truth. That is correct. I moved for medical school and residency.
Where'd you go to medical
fellowship.
school?
So I went to the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, which is, about 2 hours north of where you are. And then I did my residency in Albany, New York at Albany Medical Center, and then fellowship at Penn. And then I had a little excursion to Tennessee for a year, then came back to Pennsylvania. I've been here ever since.
What kind of doctor are you?
So I'm an anesthesiologist, but I did a critical care fellowship. So I do a combination of anesthesia and critical care. Yeah.
My brother's a spinal surgeon. He went to Jefferson for medical school and did his residency there, did his fellowship at Washington U.
Nice.
And then he went to Johns Hopkins, and now he's at Washington U in St. Louis.
Oh, wow.
So I know the dedication it takes. Well, I've seen it, the dedication it takes for you to become a doctor. So thank you for what you do to keep us safe.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a lot of moving, and my wife and I are happy not to do that again for a while.
Yes.
All right, here's another one.
Okay.
I got married when I was 22 years old.
I say true.
That is true. Yes. I met my wife in high school, but she dumped me. That's a much longer story. She did dump me for a period of time. And then in a couple years into college, I like to say she came crawling back after she experienced the cold, hard world. And then we got married right before I started medical school. Wow. And we've been married ever since. Yeah, we have 3 kids.
Well, kudos to her, too, because that's quite the dedication to be married to someone in medical school.
Moving all those times and taking care of the kids while I was on call all those days. The medical degree is as much hers as it is mine. Yes.
So when you lie, your sentences are a little more choppy. You have unnatural breaks between your words.
Really? Wow. Yeah. You're a human lie detector. Oh my gosh. Well, this next one you may already know ahead of time because I kind of gave myself away.
Yes.
But I can name the city where every Super Bowl game has been played since its inception.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. I can't do that at all. Okay. And my last one is I always knew I wanted to be an anesthesiologist when I grew up.
Ooh. I say true.
That's actually false. I know. You
I was
almost
too
had it.
confident on that one.
Yeah, that's false. I actually wanted to be a plastic surgeon when I started medical school. And then when I started my rotations and I actually did some surgery, I
Yeah.
hated it. I hated it. So I switched to anesthesia and I loved it ever since. So yeah, there you go.
Well, you got me on that one.
So you did a good job. Good job.
Thanks.
All right. So prior to taking the bench, you were elected to 4 terms in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives.
I was.
What was that experience like for you?
I loved the job. I really did. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the wonky legislative side of it as well, and I enjoyed the constituent services side of it. So in my district, it's really a number of different jobs in one, and I enjoyed every aspect of it. Nice thing about getting elected whenever you are young, a lot of the state reps really take you under their wing and try to really help you. Uh, with bills or with just general things that are going on in the Capitol. And so that was very helpful. I made a lot of friends, continue those friendships today. And it's the State House, it was a really good job. I really enjoyed it.
That's great that you still keep in touch with some of the state reps that you served with.
Oh, yeah. They're a lot of fun, and they were just good people, and it was nice to see people from different parts of the state, different backgrounds. They educated me about their area. I educated them about the Whiskey Rebellion and stuff like that in Washington County, and it was a very good learning experience.
That's cool. All right, so let's talk about robes a little bit, okay? So do you have a specific type of robe you wear based on your mood or season?
I have like wedding robes that are just there that I only wear for weddings, and then the other robe because it's like nicely pressed and it's it's wedding ready, right? So I have that robe, or if I'm going to swear someone in, or if it's ceremonial, I have like 3 or 4 robes, but they're all kind of the same texture. It's just some are a little more worn than others.
All right. So I didn't know if you were more of a deluxe robe wearer or like a classical robe wearer.
Yeah, I would say it's classical with a zipper.
Classical.
They have button ones or they have zipper ones. I'm a zipper robe wearer.
Okay. I understand. Yeah, I actually was looking up various judicial robes, and there are all these websites you can go to buy robes if you're a judge.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if you fancied any kind. What about like, RBG used to wear her dissenting necklaces. Do you ever wear anything special that might not be visible? Like, do you have a special tie or a ring that you feel strongly about when you write an opinion?
Not when I'm writing opinion, but sometimes I wear quirky socks based on or a tie, which you only see kind of the knot of the tie, but a lot of people will comment on my socks because certain days I feel I need to wear different types of socks, different colors, different messages, those types of things.
That's good. I knew there had to be something. There you go. There had to be some type of flair that you're going to wear as a judge. You have to wear, all black.
I do have gavel cufflinks too.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
I wear those occasionally, but not often.
There's some flair there. I like that. All right. So some people say that interpreting the law shouldn't be a partisan issue. But I think history has shown us time and time again that political ideologies definitely influence the judicial system. So you are being endorsed by the Democratic Party. You yourself served as a Democrat in the Pennsylvania State House. How does being a Democrat influence your interpretations of the law?
So when a lot of it's from your background and the lens that you're looking at stuff. I've served, there's 500 trial judges in Pennsylvania. The majority, actually every trial judge that I met, even though I would disagree with their opinion or their ruling, from their lens, they believed it to be correct. Even if the Superior Court tells them they're wrong or Supreme Court tells them they're wrong, the Supreme Court tells you you're wrong, right? And so even if you look at a place like Washington County, where I was able to win both the Democrat and Republican side when I ran for Court of Common Pleas, because you can cross-file, I represented a very purple district, was able to secure a lot of votes, both in the center and with the Democrat nominations and the Republicans, because you carry the lens from where you are from. They make these races partisan. However, if you look at the rulings, they are fair and impartial. I've had many people on say they may not agree with it, but what you did was fair. And so I was able to do that even as a state rep. I was able to do that as a running for office and now as a judge for the last 7+ years, but within a reasonable degree of certainty. every judge's rulings should be close, even if they end up ruling the opposite way.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, the lens that you look through comes from a history that you've practiced for many, many years.
Yes.
In your history as serving in the state house as a Democrat and certainly being endorsed overwhelmingly by the Democratic Party, I'm sure that lens will continue to be fair and balanced sitting on the Superior Court.
And that's what Pennsylvanians deserve. They deserve, a fair, just impartial, someone with a demeanor and temperament to look at an issue, follow the law, and just make sure that everything is done properly. And so that's what I bring to the Superior Court. It's what I've done as a judge in Washington County. And it's something that I'm proud of. And we're able to capitalize on my fairness and impartiality as we go throughout this campaign.
Thank you for answering that question. I really appreciate it. What are some of your hobbies?
So I like to fish. And so fishing is kind of my version. It is my relaxation. I like to stand in a stream, catch fish. Different seasons, you target different fish, those types of things. But I do like to fish. I do like to golf. With the kids, I've always played in softball leagues and stuff like that. Athletics is a big part of my background and my childhood and going through college and all that kind of stuff. So I love athletics as well. Now it's more enjoying watching my kids play, but I still sneak out every once in a while to play in a softball league. And so between fishing's my number one relaxation, golf takes up a lot of time, so it's few and far between, but I do enjoy golfing. And then just my just any type of athletics I enjoy doing.
You
But
enjoy that?
right now it's mostly softball, so my wife always tells me not to get hurt.
Oh, yeah. No, I would definitely be the one to get hurt if I ever played a sport. So why should people care about judicial races in Pennsylvania?
Every single position people are running for really impacts your life very directly. The appellate courts, the Court of Common Pleas, and the magisterial judges, they are really your backstop to your rights. And so nobody comes to court, one, because they're getting along or because everybody's agreeing on stuff. And so it's important because nobody really wants to go to court. Nobody wants to go find an attorney. It's more of a needs basis, right? You need something happened. And so you should really care about the person that is making the decision about something that is near and dear to your heart because you need them to make this decision. And so anybody who is paying attention to what's going on across the country here in Pennsylvania, you should want someone who sees through it all, is fair, impartial, and is going to issue a ruling that's based on the facts presented and the law as it stands. And so people should really care from the top to the bottom for these judges and all the other races. And so this isn't a traditional political type of race. It's more of who would you want to be sitting there listening to you and making rulings based on what the law is and what the facts that were presented.
And unlike some of the special elections that just happened recently, this is a statewide race.
That's right.
So everybody is going to be able to vote for you. So that's very special in a lot of ways.
And let's face it, these are not sexy races. There's probably 0% of the population outside of people who do appellate work that could name you all the 15 Superior Court judges, right? But that doesn't mean that they're not important. And so we have, as candidates, we really have to crisscross the state to meet as many people as possible in an efficient way. And this is more of a modern day way to meet people and get our message out. But it's important that everybody understands that we are your backstop to your rights. And if that backstop goes away, then, look out.
Well, I just want you to know, I find all levels of politics extremely sexy, which is why I have the Zekely podcast. And I definitely want everyone to know Judge Neuman is running for Superior Court. So I'm going to make sure to get the word out and
thank you.
Let as many people know as possible that this is happening. So
thank you.
You got it. So you have 4 kids.
Yes.
2 dogs.
2 dogs.
And a cat.
Well, my cat just recently passed away.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah. We had 3 cats. My wife found them in the trunk of a tree 12 years ago. And so we had 3. And then every year. One recent, they've passed away. Our last one, Reese, was a calico, and she passed away, I think, February 14th, Valentine's Day. But I
Oh
have
my
two
gosh.
dogs, two boxers, Macy and Daisy. Macy is geriatric boxer. Daisy is a kind of a 2-year-old, just spark plug of a puppy, and and then you have 4 kids. So my house sometimes is a little
Yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy. I mean, I was going to ask you a question until you told me that some of your cats passed away, but I guess you're going to replace your cats. Is that something I assume is going to come down the pipeline?
Eventually, yeah, we
Okay.
will have kittens at some point. Yes.
Okay. Because my question was going to be, when are you going to get a horse or something? Because, you know,
Don't tell my daughter. She's 9 and she's always asking me, we need to get a horse. I'm like, I don't think we need to get a horse.
I mean, you're a brave family to have that many kids. I have 3 kids, and that's enough for me. But I don't have any pets, you know.
Yeah.
So for you to have dogs and then you had cats, that's a lot of work. And I like how you said it's a geriatric dog. You didn't say, well, I just have an old dog. Is that like I have a geriatric dog? I've never heard someone call their dog geriatric before. Is that a common thing that people talk about?
No, that's the first time I've ever said it. So
I
it's
just
just
like I
something.
have a geriatric dog. It's like I have an old dog, I have a young dog. That's really funny. Well, I won't say anything to your daughter about getting a horse, but
Thank you.
I wouldn't be surprised if you did based on her family. So there you go. What's been the toughest part of being a judge?
So originally it's the isolation. My first week on the job, I called IT and I said, "Hey, you got to come up, look at my computer. There's something wrong."
Mhm.
And they looked and I said, "Well," they said, "What's wrong?" I said, "I have my email set up properly." I said, "I haven't gotten any emails today." And they looked at me and said, "You just didn't get any emails today." And so I had to get used to, like, you're not allowed to really talk to judges. So I had to get
Oh.
used to not having that personal connection or,
Mhm.
seeing people every single day. You have one subject per case, right? Whenever
Mhm.
you're a state representative, you got to be on point for whatever someone's going to ask you.
Hmm.
And I enjoyed that part. Like, I enjoyed having to be on all the time, going to all these events and seeing all these people. So
Hmm.
I'd say the isolation was hardest first. And then once you get through that, then it becomes, how do you compartmentalize, make a decision, move on? And there's some things that you just can't leave at the office. I mean, you just hear a bad case. And so how do you not let it impact you on a personal level at home, or,
Mhm.
carry it with you? I live my stress out in sleep, so I don't sleep well if I'm stressed.
Mhm.
Um, but how are you able to compartmentalize your job and making a decision and also not have an impact at home? And so that's
Mhm.
probably the balance now, is to make sure. Plus the isolation will always be something, but I've gotten past that.
So by isolation, so I didn't know this, and maybe I need to clarify. When you are overseeing a case,
Yes.
you're not allowed to interact with anyone else except for the courtroom during that period of time?
So yes, and well, there's a couple things. When I'm presiding over a case,
Mhm.
yes, I can have general conversation with the attorneys, just as long as everybody's in the room, right? And then
Mhm.
I can have general conversation with individuals. Now, obviously, I can't talk to anybody about their case.
Mhm.
That would be wrong. But I can have general, kind of shallow type of conversation with them.
Mhm.
Um, but a lot of people don't know how to talk to judges outside of. They're like, he's a
Yeah.
judge. Am I allowed to talk to him? Do I not talk
Mhm.
to him? There's probably a level of intimidation. So when you first get elected, a lot of people are very careful around. They're trying to feel you out and things like
Mhm.
that. In
Mhm.
addition to that, you see people in the store, you see people at ball games, you see people at soccer games
Mhm.
that were in front of you and they don't know how to kind of react to me, and
Yeah.
it's awkward for me.
Mhm.
And so you start feeling very isolated, and you always have to be very careful about who's talking to you, what is being said, those types of things. So your scope of conversation narrows a lot,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
then your scope of friends narrows a lot.
Interesting. I mean, as a doctor, we obviously have HIPAA rules, HIPAA
Yes.
laws, and we can't violate those. Even if we see someone who's had an elective procedure at the hospital, if I see them on the street, I can't talk to them about it in front of other people. They
Oh,
might not
yeah.
be comfortable talking about it in the first place. But when you talk about the kind of isolation and trauma, I have a therapist that I go to. I'm curious, do you see a therapist and talk about any of that?
I do not. I'm very fortunate. My sister is a licensed therapist, PhD, and my wife's the best. Like, she's just a phenomenal person. She's a pharmacist, and she owns a preschool, and I'm running statewide, and we have
Yeah.
4 kids and 2 dogs, no horse. So
Man, yeah, how do you not have a therapist? I guess the question is, how do you not have a therapist at this point?
I don't know. It's probably something I should explore.
I mean, there's no shame in it.
Absolutely not.
I've definitely leaned on my therapist a lot over the years. Certainly with difficult cases, I deal with death and a lot of trauma and just the hours of working. COVID was very difficult, and
I'm
so
sure.
yeah, I can relate to a lot of those things that you go through.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for telling me all about that. Judges are incredibly common in popular culture. I mean, we have America's Got Talent, You Think You Can Dance, Top Chef. I mean, being a judge is actually very popular. People want to be judged in some way and win. So I'm curious, are there any shows that you'd love to be a judge on? Like a fun show?
My kids watch that cake show, Cake or Not Cake.
Yeah.
I would want to be America's Got Talent.
Okay. Okay.
If I had a pick, I mean, I like
Mhm.
cake, don't get me wrong,
Who doesn't?
and I would eat that cake. But in terms of the interest level and just kind of the absolute phenomenal performances that these people put on, I would love to be the layperson that really has no discernible talent, that could say if these people are good or not,
Yeah.
and give people my opinion and probably
Uh,
get booed. I like America's Got Talent because it has an
okay.
array of different.
All right. And you just hit the golden buzzer every time, even though you only get one. That's awesome. That's great. Well, one day we all can
Maybe
hope
one
for
day.
you. In an unprecedented fashion, Trump and Republicans in Congress are threatening to impeach judges they don't like. So, do you feel your role as a judge is even more important in the face of these attacks on the judiciary?
I think our role, more so than the judiciary, it would also include the whole system, so attorneys as well. I think it's more important now than ever that people understand that the decisions that are being made by judges that are not making the news every single day are good, sound decisions that are fair and impartial, no matter where you are in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And so I think it's our job to talk about it. I think it's attorneys' job to make sure that they understand that they need to be proud of their profession and talk to their profession. And I think it's the judiciary specifically, we need to make sure that people understand that what we do is a vital part of our system. You know, there are 3 co-equal branches of government. We are on the front lines in terms of either helping people or trying to protect people or do something that is very individualistic for that community. So look, 1, we're isolated. 2, we don't have a voice. We don't issue press releases. We don't
Right.
have the luxury of really doing those types of things. But at a micro level, like in Washington County, we have to live with integrity. Like, we
Right.
have to show
Yeah.
that we are above reproach and that we can live in our society and our communities and people respect us. And so some of the situation where you see, a ruling here or a ruling there, that's kind of like out of touch, right? What we do is very in touch. We are much more community oriented, and we need to live and make sure that we are being not just judges, but we are being individuals that people can be proud of.
Yeah, you have to, like as you said, integrity and canceling out the noise. You're practicing law, and
Yes.
you are essentially influencing the lives of not just one Pennsylvanian, but your rulings affect all Pennsylvanians. And so you're focusing on that. That's what's most
Focusing on
important.
getting it right.
Yeah. So you have a large family. I can only assume that you dabble in some type of cooking, correct?
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
dab? Okay, so what's your go-to meal that you know your family will enjoy?
So if I have time, because I enjoy cooking, if I have time, I make homemade pasta and homemade meatballs.
Homemade pasta?
Yes. So I make
Really?
homemade KitchenAid, the whole thing. I got to have time though.
Yeah, that sounds labor intensive.
Yeah, no, I enjoy cooking if I'm not rushed.
Okay.
But usually I'm generally in charge of dinner Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Okay, so Tuesdays and Thursdays, my general go-to is my kids like shrimp, so I run and get some shrimp and saute them in garlic and olive oil and things of that
Nice.
nature. Then now, if there's no time, I make a killer grilled cheese. Like it's the kids
I mean,
love
you
it.
gotta be good at grilled cheese if you're a
Yeah.
dad.
Now, but
Come
I
on.
enjoy cooking. I enjoy grilling. My kids aren't as picky as most, so I'm fortunate in that aspect. But sometimes they just look at what I make and they just don't want to eat
Mm.
it.
Yeah, I hear that. So are you a clean as you go cook, or do you make a huge mess and then clean everything at the end?
It depends. So if I'm using the metal bowls to mix, I clean
Hmm.
those as I go.
Yeah.
If I have a pan, I'll let that cool off. Won't clean that until I'm finished. But I am a dry as I go person, as I wash
Oh, okay.
person. I know some people like my wife included. She likes to put things on a drying rack,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so I'm not a drying rack person. I'm like, if
No.
I wash it, I'm gonna dry it, and don't
It's
always
gonna
put it
be,
away, but I try to put it away once I dry it.
but it has to be cabinet ready regardless.
That's my position. Yes,
There you go. Understood. Understood. All right, I have two more questions for you,
certainly.
okay? What gives you hope?
My kids, just watching my kids grow up, they give me hope that there is going to be a brighter future. And our job is to just make sure that we leave our country and our community better off than how we found it. And I hope that we can do that. This is the greatest country in the world, and there are a lot of good people in this country. And the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is just, the just always been um, protecting people's rights, at the forefront of making sure that things are done fairly. But at the end of the day, I am a believer in people, and I'm looking at this next generation, and I got a lot of hope. They give
Mhm.
me a lot of hope.
I agree. My kids give me a lot of hope too. And my last question for you is, what plans do you have to get yourself through these next few years?
One, not watch any news, right?
Okay, yeah. I got Yeah, that's going to be good for sure.
And always stay connected to your community because that's where it is. Watching kids play outside, play football and baseball and soccer, watching my kids grow and just being someone that people want to be around. If you can be a good person that people want to be around, then you're doing something right. And so I do want to be that person. I try not to get caught up in anything that would harm me or my family. And I enjoy people and I'm a believer in people. Whatever happens, I think that we can get through this. I hate to jump back to the campaign, but that's why I'm here. A
Yeah.
lot of it does end up coming through the courts.
Hmm.
And so me being in a position where I can make an impact on the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania really excites me. It'd be an honor to do it. I just love the intellect of it. I love the challenge of it. And I just look forward to, not only campaigning across the Commonwealth, but hopefully after I win, just being part of something special. And so I think the Superior Court of Pennsylvania is something special that doesn't get a lot of recognition, but in terms of the work that they do and the product that they put out, it is a special type of place.
You sound like a connector. You want to connect people, you like connecting with others, and I think that's important for life in general and certainly in a position of being a judge. So I am extremely happy to hear that's going to get you through these next few years.
Thank you.
Well, Judge Brandon Neuman on the Zekely podcast, running for Superior Court. Everyone who is a registered voter in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is going to be able to vote for you in November. And we must make sure that you win because we need level headed, competent, empathetic judges sitting on the bench in Pennsylvania. And I believe that you are that person. So I wish you the best of luck and I will continue to promote you everywhere I can. And I don't think this is the last we're going to see each other.
No, I look forward to doing this again.
Yeah.
It was a great conversation. We made light of some situations, which is fun
Mhm.
for me because I don't get to do that too much anymore.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the general conversation that we had and you promoting me on your show.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you're extremely busy and you're working every day right now in between campaigning. So congratulations on running, and I hope the best for you.
Thanks. Look forward to talking to you again.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining me here on the Zekely podcast. Stay hopeful and get involved. And until next time, let's keep building a stronger Pennsylvania together.